Alright, so the All-Star Starters just got announced, so I'm going to be reacting to them now in this video. If I look at my phone, that's just because I'm looking down to see at the starters. I have them all written out for the West and the East, and so if I'm looking down, it's because I'm looking at my phone and not anything else. So yeah, the All-Star Starters out West are LeBron, Curry, Jokic, Ja, and for some reason Wiggins. Now I know I said in my video that I would probably put either between Wiggins or Cat, because I think Wiggins has done really well this season, but he's averaging like 18 points a game.
That whole trash.
Thought Cat's doing pretty well for the Timberwolves. I think honestly that probably would have been Paul George or Kawhi had they been not injured, and had they been healthy. I think that probably would have been that spot, but yeah, and I know you need a forward there, so I know probably putting Karl-Anthony Towns wouldn't have made sense, or putting Karl-Anthony Towns would have made sense. Putting a guy like Booker or Mitchell or Luka, I mean, you could, but because the NBA's positionless at this point, but I guess for formality's sake, Wiggins has got to be there. I thought it should have been Karl-Anthony Towns. I said that in my when I was voting for the NBA All-Stars. I thought it should have been Karl-Anthony Towns. That's just my opinion. I like the rest though. I mean, this is who I voted out West anyways. This is everyone. I think for the backcourt, I think Ja and Curry, I think that's going to be for the next couple years. It's going to be a deadlock between them two. Maybe Luka or Book or Mitchell can sneak into there from time to time. But maybe if one of them gets hurt or whatever. But yeah, it's going to be very difficult to, I think, usurp one of those guys out West. But look, we're going to get into the snubs in a little bit and who I think is going to be in the bench for the All-Star lineup, which is voted by the coaches. Let's just move on out East though. I'm pretty much fine with everyone out West besides Wiggins, but I can understand why I went with Karl-Anthony Towns. I would have had him as a starter, but that's just my opinion. I don't know. I think he's done really well for the Timberwolves this season. Eastern Conference, Joel, Durant, Giannis, Trae, and DeRozan. I have no issue with that. I mean, look, it would have been great for a Miami Heat player. I think Jimmy came in 6th. That might be who replaces Durant, though, because I know he's injured, and so he might miss the All-Star game. So I think he probably would, because I think he came in 6th in voting. So he probably would be All-Star starter. And given also the fact that Miami is number 1 out East and Spoelstra is going to be coaching, I wouldn't be surprised if Jimmy became the starter, regardless of, you know, who gets put into KD's place. I think that's up to the commissioner too. I wouldn't know, to be honest. I know there's probably a couple other guys you could probably put over KD, but in terms of like a forward in KD's place, I mean, I think Jimmy probably deserves to get in there. I wouldn't know who else out East, to be honest with you. Not really off the top of my head. Now, I know I went with Garland over Young, and that's just because I'm a bigger fan of Darius Garland and what he's been able to do than Trae Young. But again, that's just my opinion. I don't mind though that they have Trae Young in this. Joel Embiid, I think he's probably right now midseason MVP. If this season ended now, I think what he's been doing in Philadelphia, I think he's definitely carrying them to that. I think they're like 5th or 6th or right now out East. Giannis, I mean, it's hard not to put Giannis and KD. KD and LeBron are the captains, which is going to be interesting to see. Does KD still draft his team? I think so. Even if he isn't named starter, I think so, because I mean, he was still second in vote getting or first in vote getting out East. That's how it works. So it's going to be interesting to see what Adam Silver does to replace him, and then who the coaches vote for and put into the All-Star bench. Now let's start out West with some of the snubs. I already mentioned a couple in Booker, Mitchell, and Luka. Obviously, those are the big time snubs. I thought Karl-Anthony Towns was one. I definitely think you could have given a shout at was one. I think those 4 are the big time snubs that didn't make the starters, but I think those 4 should at least be locks for the for the bench at least. In terms of guys that I think could make the bench or at least could be snubbed from the bench, or snubbed, which is going to be a little disrespectful, I think it's the other 2 Timberwolves guys, and D'Lo and Anthony Edwards. I think Anthony Edwards has definitely proven why he's probably going to be another star that the Timberwolves draft and somehow fuck up his career. I mean, like they did with KG and Karl-Anthony Towns thus far, in terms of building a team around them. But I mean, look, Timberwolves are playing well. I think they're like currently 7th or 8th out West. Also, he compared himself to Black Jesus, which in NBA terms means he's compared himself to Michael Jordan. So that means Michael Jordan's going to probably sign a 10-day contract with a team that they have on the schedule coming up, with the Timberwolves have on the schedule coming up, and then probably kick his ass at like however old Michael Jordan is. In my eyes, there's only 2 Black Jesuses in the world of sports. It's Michael Jordan and Victor Ibarbo. If you know, you know. In terms of other forwards that could have, missed out, I don't know, because it really did seem a little skimpy out west, like the forwards and centers, because obviously there's Kawhi and Paul George, but I wouldn't know if you necessarily put in Anthony Davis. I mean, you could because of the numbers wise, but I don't know if you put in Anthony Davis into that team, into the All-Star. I mean, why not? Brandon Ingram, I think, gets onto the bench for this team. I don't think Damian Lillard will. I don't even think Paul George will, just because of the injuries. I think the 2 Clippers forwards are going to miss out. I mean, obviously with Kawhi, but I think Paul George isn't going to be able to make the bench in this as well. And then as terms of centers, you know what? Maybe even like a Yusuf Nurkic or Rudy Gobert probably is going to make the bench. One of those 2 guys. I probably would go with Rudy. If you need another center off the bench or something like that, yeah, I think one of those 2 guys. Nurkic has been playing really well for Portland, and obviously Rudy Gobert is the second star out in Utah. So that's just my look. These obviously we gotta wait for the bench to come out, and then I'll react probably to the full roster and the full lineup. But yeah, those are just my snubs. Probably you can make a shout for Chris Paul as well in that lineup. Maybe even like Tyrese Halliburton, if you wanted to. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander probably could make a shout in there as well. DeJounte Murray. There's a lot of guards out west I probably could make it, that should make it but won't. Just because you got to put in Luka and Book for this season. For this, and I don't know if you want to consider Luka a forward. Let's move on though to the Eastern snubs. Like I said, I'm not surprised Jimmy didn't make it, but I'm kind of a little upset because Miami is #1 out east, and they don't have a starter. I mean, same thing with Phoenix. I think that's just a crime that neither one has a starter out either team at the moment. I mean, with Kevin Durant, we might see Jimmy replace him. Who knows? I think he's definitely a candidate up there. In terms of bench players, I definitely would love to see, as a Heat fan, Bam and Tyler. I think Tyler's averaging more than Wiggins. I mean, I think if Wiggins is averaging 18 points a game and Tyler's averaging like 22, I believe, I definitely think that Tyler should get in, but I don't know if they're going to give it to I don't think they're going to give it to a bench guy. I mean, even though he's 6 man, I don't know. Bam, I definitely think it's going to get it. I think could get it. I think he's put up numbers even with the time missed. I think he's put up some great numbers, even in his return and even before the injury, he was putting up great stats and numbers. I definitely think, in terms of the rest of the East, I think you have to maybe look at Miles Bridges, LaMelo Ball, the 2 Hornet stars. I think they've definitely stepped up this season. I think either one of them probably should. I think maybe more LaMelo than Miles, but I definitely think one of them could make it out east into the bench. Bradley Beal is another one. I know the Wizards are hurting right now. Blew a 35-point lead to the Clippers the other night. I mean, that's just been trashed on Twitter, but it's just been they've been destroyed on Twitter. They were first out east, by the way, at one point. I just want to say they were #1 in the East, I think, at the beginning of the season, and now they're 10th. That is crazy. Bradley Beal, I think, should get in there. Probably Harden. I wouldn't say Kyrie. Sabonis or Turner, maybe Turner. I would say to get a spot out east on the bench. I think the only Sixer is going to be Joel. I don't know if anyone from New York is going to get in. And then who? And then we got to talk about the Cleveland guys. I think Garland and Allen should get in it for sure. Especially, I think Garland should 100% get in, and I think also Zach LaVine, possibly even Vooch as well. I think one of those guys gets in if they're healthy. But yeah, again, this is just my opinion. Let me know in the comment section down below. West and East All-Stars, we talked about those starters. West All-Stars, once again, is Curry, Ja, Jokic, LeBron, and Wiggins. Out East, it's Trey, Giannis, KD, Joel Embiid, and DeMar DeRozan. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. Take it easy. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think of the All-Star selection. And yeah, let's just see how the rest of the bench gets played out. All right, you guys have a good one.